everybody can hear me just fine. Believe I have my settings all correct today, hopefully. And if you can hear everything, do a mic check. Give a thumbs up or 2 thumbs up in the chat. That would be greatly appreciated. All right, so today we are going to be just chatting it up. Whatever you want to talk about, whatever you want to discuss. And I did not plan anything for today. I had a very busy week this week, so I didn't do any reviews, and I haven't really had a whole lot of time to sit and listen to music and really dissect things and critique things. So this week has been very much just about taking the moments that have been provided, which have been limited. This was, just so just to give you some personal info, whether or not you care about it or not, you're going to get it. This was my last week of working my current position at my job, which was third shift. Been working that for quite a while. And so starting on Monday, I'm going to a new position with the company, and I'm going to be working days. I'm going to be working 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., which is going to be a big transition for me. That's going to be something that I haven't done in about 2 years. I haven't worked days. So it'll be a transition to try to figure out the review schedules and, family life, church, and all that kind of stuff. So that's going to be a little bit of a challenge. And then also have summer vacations and all that kind of thrown in there. So that's going to throw schedules off. So I'm going to ask that everybody just be a little patient while I figure things out. And I'll do some posts on the YouTube communities and social medias to kind of let everybody know what we're going to be doing as far as that. This past week was Vacation Bible School at our church. And so I was running the soundboard and helping out at church. And so it was from, that took up about 3 hours each evening, give or take. That was a little difficult to work around. So just bear with me. We'll get through all of this and get back to a normal schedule at some point. So, all right. So, couple greetings here. Greetings to Vegan Vicar over in Manila. It's a long ways away from me, several thousand miles, but hello. Thank you for swinging by. Paul, see you and hear you fine. Thank you very much for that. And Fred, hear you good. Thank you for this. You're welcome, Fred. So how was everybody else's week this week? Hopefully you were able to squeeze in some listening to tunes and maybe trying out some new gear or whatever. So just let me know how your week's been going. If you have any questions, comments, thoughts, if we want to continue the conversation on from the video that I made earlier in the week, anything of that sort, let's talk. So while you're all thinking up some stuff to discuss, I'm going to show you some things that we do have in for review that'll be coming up over the next several weeks. We have the IFI Audio Valkyrie, which is a really cool DAC amp. They call it transportable. I don't know if I would really classify it as being portable, but it does have a battery in it, so I guess that's what qualifies. That's pretty much it back there. And then we have several other devices. We do have Aoshita has sent over a device. I haven't opened it yet, but this review will be coming out at some point. It's a budget DAC amp. It's the C200 Pro. Not really familiar with that one, but we'll see what that has to offer. And a couple other DAC amp devices. One that is really, really cool. This is the SMSL DS20. This is all a portable, and it is a DAC amp only. Does not have like Bluetooth and all that kind of stuff. Has quite a bit of power. It's very similar-ish to a Ultra M5 from Muse Hi-Fi, except it doesn't have the tubes in it. You know, it's a solid state. And then we also have a Death and Ray clarinet. This also is a portable DAC amp. And this is the first Death and Ray product that I have received in. Appreciate Death and Ray sending this one over. One cool thing about this, it has a really nice little case. Also, you can get different knob colors. Cool that they sent over purple. Another thing that has been sent over, this was sent over by Shenzhen. Oh, no, I'm sorry. This was sent over by FIO. This is the FIO M21. And it does have a case on it. You can take the case off, but it's really hard to get off. This is a Android, I think it has Android 13 DAP. Then we have some IEMs. More than likely the next IEM to get reviewed is going to be these. These are the Kiwi Ears Astral. And then we have another one which just came in the other day, which is quite cool, very unique design. These are the Colorfly Silver Reference. Very awkward. They actually are more comfortable than they look. So try to explain that in a review. It's going to be challenging because everybody's ears are different. But overall, just a unique thing. They're only like 150 bucks. Let's see. Next, we have some other stuff. Keep Hi-Fi sent over some KZ. Actually, I'm going to give KZ another try. Let's see if they've changed. This is the KA12. Now, the KA12 is interesting because there are two variants of the KA12. The KA12, you can get one that has all those tuning switches and all that kind of stuff, or you can get one that doesn't have tuning switches. And this is the one that doesn't have the tuning switches. So we'll see. We'll see about that. See if KZ has kind of moved on from some of their shenanigans from the past. Another one, this one's a new one that'll be coming out. This is the Tantrum Fission. And this is a, I can't remember exactly how much this one comes. I think it comes about 150 also. It's an interesting design, kind of like a 4U Pro meets Kara type of thing. And then you have a couple more Kiwi Ears. We have the Kiwi Ears Etude, which is their budget version, but it has like some vibration type driver in it. Kind of a little bit fun. And then we have the Septet, which is an open back IEM. And a couple more. We're not done yet. We also have the KB Ear Cephas. This is, as far as I know, the most expensive KB Ear to date. Now, of course, they have some of the other stuff that's in their family, which is like Tri and things like that that are more expensive. But as far as I know, this is the most expensive KB ear. This also came over from Keep Hi-Fi. And then we have from Hi-Fi Go, they sent over the Z Reviews collab, the Juzz Ear. Is this the Defiant? Yeah, the Defiant. And we got the green variant, which is actually really cool looking. A few other things that are in. Let's see. I got a bunch of. If you can't tell, I feel like I am showing off sales pitch, but I'm not. Another thing that's in for review is Sonic Miori's SW500H. Interesting. And then I won't show that one because that one is giving me issues. And then one last thing, and I talked about this a while ago. I'm going to talk about it again, and this is, I'm going to try to be nice, but it's really hard. So, Apos Audio has asked me to do a brief video on these and to discuss them. And they've asked me twice, and I talked about them in a live stream. And I didn't really tell Apos that I talked about it. I just kind of let it fly. But they asked me this week to do another video and when it was coming out. So here it is. The Ocuclips. So you can get these on Apos. I think they're like $25, $25, something like that. I really don't care, to be honest. They're Ocuclips. So basically, you open up this little tin, and you get these two clips, and they look like this. All right, you get these two clips, and they're for people that wear glasses with over-ear headphones. So you take these little tabs and you just slide it open, it's Velcro, and you take your glasses off, and you slap your Ocuclip on the edge of them, or you can just slide it on. Okay, and it's a little tougher to slide on, but you can get them on there. All right, so you get them positioned, and you take these very awkward things and you set them on your ears. Feels super strange. Now you can adjust them to wherever you want. If you have some sort of, like if you need them farther up on like where the bow is or whatever, and you just position them to however. Then you take a pair of headphones, and we're going to take the Fosse Audio i5, and we're going to put them on our head, and it's supposed to help with comfort and seal. All right. If these headphones weren't already a little bit big and a little heavy, these Ocuclips make them feel even more awkward. They just feel strange. They're not comfortable at all. The Ocuclips just fit odd on the ears, and no matter where I position them, whether it's back here or here, it doesn't matter. And so, you're like, okay, those are big headphones. Maybe that doesn't matter. Okay. Let's take one that's really small. How about the Austrian Audio Hi-X 60s? All right. Really small. Put them on my ears. Yeah, no. Okay, here's the problem. So they're supposed to help with seal. The problem is they sit on the pad right here, and they're actually lifting the pad off of my ear, letting in sound. I get worse isolation having the dumb Ocuclips on than if I don't have the Ocuclips on. The Ocuclips, in my opinion, are useless, and they're uncomfortable. Okay. Here's another thing. I hate things being on my ears that aren't like IEM cables. Okay, I wear glasses every single day. I've worn glasses since I was like 6 years old. So I'm very, very familiar with what things are supposed to feel like when you have glasses on. I've had glasses that have straight arms. I've had them with the curved here. I've had them where they're thicker and thinner, and it does not matter. I have 3 pairs of glasses in-house. I've tried them all, and they all feel awkward. Now, I can't wear those stupid Ocuclips with my sunglasses because my sunglasses are too thick. But these things are the dumbest thing I've ever come across in audio. And Apos, I'm trying to be nice, but these are a waste of money, and they're snake oil. What these are is somebody's idea. Somebody had a really sensitive ears, and they came up with this and said, I'm going to sell these. And so they put a price tag on them, spent some money to make whatever felt comfortable to their ears, and are trying to sell them. But they're not going to fit everybody. Now, who knows? Maybe they'll work for you. Maybe. They don't work for me, and I don't like them. I won't use these. They're a pile of junk, and they're somebody trying to rip off everybody, trying to make a quick buck, and that's snake oil. I don't approve of these. Don't recommend them. And if I have other things that you could spend $25 on that will improve your sound quality, and if you're having problems with seal, bend your headphone just a little bit. Be gentle on them. Make them fit. No. All right, rant's over. So let's see. I saw a bunch of questions come through. All right, let's see. Or comments. Okay. Dragonet Sound. Hi, Dave from Canada. Hello. Should try the Hibbey R4. I've heard good things about the R4. I have the R5. right here. I have the R5 Gen 2. Love it. Use it with every single IEM review process. I test it with the R5. And if I can get an R4 in, I'll see what I can do. Thank you for the suggestion. Cool IEMs. I assume you're referring to the silver reference. Yeah, they're really cool, actually. And when I took them out of the box, I was like, what is this? These do not look comfy. And so I was very, very skeptical. Now, the stock tips in them are good, but they didn't quite like hold them in place because they are a little bit on the heavy side and have that awkward positioning. So I'll talk about it in the review in a couple weeks, but you do have to use some alternate tips, at least for me, just to get them to fit better. And so if you do happen to have silver references coming in or whatever, keep that in mind. You might have to do some tip rolling. All right, so Lee Underwood. I shared your ethical concerns with reviewers on Headfly. The responses varied. I'm not surprised at that, actually. Some felt it had been discussed before, which it has. And some were apologetic to the discounts and free stuff. That's good. I mean, I'm not looking for apologies for free stuff or discounts or anything like that. That wasn't the point of that video. The point is you need to be more transparent, you need to be open, and you also have to be, as a reviewer, not be biased towards it. Okay, I got free stuff, and then so this is getting a positive review, or I'm getting discounts, or I'm getting this or that, so I'm going to be positive, and I want to save grace with this company, and so I'm just going to be gentle and nice, and I'm not really going to bring out the negatives. I'm just going to talk about the positives and kind of gloss over the negatives. That's not how you review. I mean, go back. Where'd they go? Hold on. Yeah, here. Go back a couple minutes in this live stream and check this out. I'm not afraid of what's going to happen with Apos. If they don't like what I said about the Ocuclips, so be it. I gave my honest opinion. That's what they wanted. I'm going to be nice to them. I'm going to be friendly. I'm going to be respectful to them, and I'm going to explain my reasons for what I said in the live stream, and I'm going to continue to further our relationship. But I'm not going to like everything that gets sent to me to review. And this is proof. But the whole point of the review wasn't because people got free stuff. It wasn't because they were given discounts or affiliate links or monetization or anything. I have monetization. I have affiliate links. Things like that. So that wasn't the point of it. It's how the reviewer uses that and portrays that. Let's see. What inspired the top shilling video this week? That, and also, what I just talked about. And the other thing that really inspired it was the review that I did prior to that, the Heidi's MK12 Taurus. There were so many positives that came out prior to it even being released on Kickstarter. This thing's best. This thing is awesome. This thing's this. It replaces this. One person said it was better than some really expensive IEMs, and I just didn't agree with that. And there's, in my opinion, that's not being honest as a reviewer. Very few of the reviews that are out on the MK12 Taurus right now are negative. There is 2 or 3 that I can think of that said some negative things similarish to what I said. Most of them are a bed of roses, and I'm not saying that the Taurus is the worst headphone out there, but it deserves some criticism. All right, let's see. Lee, I understand that. You shared your concerns by showing your video, not speaking for. I'm not saying you spoke for me. Don't take it that way. I was referring to the reactions that they gave, being split and things like that. Most felt the ethical concerns were complex. Well, it is. I mean, it's very complex to be a reviewer, and there's a very fine line that you have to walk. And it's very easy to cross, and you can be certain reviewers are extremely negative. It seems like they're nonstop, always bashing a product, especially if it isn't what they have in house personally as their own, which purchased with their own money. Everything else sucks. And whatever your opinion is on it, mine says that's wrong. You need to have an open mind. The other way is I'm going to be positive about every single thing, and I'm going to be like super happy and glorious, you know, and I'm going to just, everything that comes out of my mouth is just going to be hearts. That's wrong also. You have to walk a fine line and give negatives and positives and be honest about your approach, be honest about what you truly feel about a product. And again, I'm going to reference this. This doesn't work for me, and I think it's a pile of junk and it's snake oil. And what more can I say? Try it if you want. If you want to waste $25 or however how much it is on Apos. Fred, can you really be a reviewer without having skin in the game? Yes. It's not about. Okay, let me put this. If you go on my gear ranking list, it says I purchased it, I was loaned it, or it was gifted to me. Most of the stuff that was gifted to me, I didn't know that until after the review was done, when I contacted the company and said, "Hey, where do you want me to send this next?" Some of the vendors, especially vendors, not all manufacturers, but the majority of vendors, you'll get a relationship with them because they send you stuff quite a bit, over and over and over again, right? And you'll learn from them. They'll basically say you don't have to return it unless we ask for it, or it's just assumed you don't have to return this at all. So that is a little bit different, but I don't take that for granted. And it still doesn't, make me go, I'm getting a positive because they're always sending me stuff. If I make a criticism about the Ocuclips and Apos doesn't like it and they decide they never want to send me gear again, that's their decision. I'm just being honest in my opinion. As far as purchases, I have purchased good gear, bad gear, mediocre gear. Not all the gear that I purchase gets reviewed. Not all of the gear that gets that I purchase is used as reference gear, even though the majority of gear used as reference gear is something I purchased. But there is gear that has been gifted to me that is used as reference gear as well. All right. So having a skin in the game, if you're referring to like playing it to walk that line, no, I don't think so. You can still be in the game without being in the game, if that makes sense. You're going to, it's all about how, as a reviewer, you approach things. I approach every single thing that comes in, whether I purchased it, whether it's loaned, or whether it's gifted, as just another product to review. I'm not going to be excited because I'm getting my first Death and Array product sent to me. All right, I think it's cool that Death and Ray reached out to me and that I think Anson was like, "Hey, I like your channel, and I know you review products. Are you interested in reviewing the clarinet?" I said yes. And I was, hey, that's cool that Anson and Death and Ray reached out to me. All right, but at the same time, it's just another product to review. When he sent it to me, he sent me an email. He was like, "Hey, take your time with it and be honest and thorough and do all your processes that you need. If you have any questions, ask." More than likely, because about 95% of my reviews, I never send an email to the manufacturer asking for something. I can think of one in the last year in which I reached out to a manufacturer to get clarification, and that was the Padsmith. I asked Padsmith, I said, "Can you clarify the drivers in this?" Because on their website, it says the dynamic driver and then customized something or other. It doesn't mention that it has a planar in it. And so I asked them, because some of the other people online were saying, "Hey, this has a dynamic and a planar," and I didn't see anything that said it had a planar in it. So I reached out to Pat Smith and was like, "What's the driver configuration?" They reached out, they said, "Here you go." And they said, "Thank you for your interest in reviewing our product." And that was it. All right. So you can have skin in the game without having skin in the game. It's all about your approach as a reviewer. It's all about what's the reason you're doing that review. And what is your ultimate goal from the review? Do you want to gain 500 subscribers? Do you want to gain $500? Do you want to gain 5,000 views within 24 hours? Do you want to do this, what is your view? Or is it just to get information out there and get your opinion out there so that your followers that are loyal to you and that understand where you're coming from can go, he says that, they say that, I've listened to products before in which this reviewer likes this or doesn't like this, and he says this and this, and he compared it to this and this. I can make my decision now. That's my goal as a reviewer. It's not to become super rich. No, I'm not going to complain if you want to donate $1 million to my channel. All right. If you want to just go here, hey, I have this money just burn in a pocket, and I just want to give it to somebody. I'm not going to turn that down. But that's not my goal for the channel. All right. All right. So, Lee Underwood, most long-term audiophiles who respond to your video felt competent to how to discern shilling. Yeah. I mean, I think most people, okay, if you're watching reviews on a fairly regular basis, you can tell the differences in the review. You can tell by the presentation style. You can tell by what is said. Most of the time, people that are more on the shilly sales pitchy side give big, huge, fluffy words and descriptions, which really don't explain anything. And they usually walk the line of it's good, it's real good, and it's got some bad, but it always comes back to being positive in some way. They rarely ever do negative, like full-on negatives, like the Ocuclips. All right. So if you just have a discerning mind and an open mind, and you truly understand where a reviewer is coming from, if you ask some questions, hey, why did you say this? Why do you believe this? Where do you go from here? How do you do this? How do you do that type of stuff? And you do it in a friendly, open-minded approach to the reviewer, most reviewers are going to respond and go, hey, here's how my process is. But if you come at a reviewer, no matter if they are a shill, no matter if they are this and that, and you just immediately attack them, and your words are just very bold and just extremely personal, that reviewer is probably not going to respond to you, and you're not going to learn from them near as much. All you have to do is go to the video that I made this week, read the comments. You can see a difference in comments, and you can see differences in how I respond. And you have to learn how to get along with a reviewer and understand where they're coming from. Try to find what the review process is, what music they use, what reference gear they use, why, that type of stuff. And you'll be able to discern. It's really not that difficult to see. Let's see. Fred, experience in the warmth of the TA22 led me down the rabbit hole of tube amps. Are there any tube amps you recommend for IEMs? Not really. The only one that really works with it that I have come across is the more portable side, more portable ones. So the one that I recommend that has tubes in it is the Muse Hi-Fi M5 Ultra. But that's a hybrid. You get either the tubes or you get solid state side, and it's a portable. The more big OCL, OTL type tube amps don't really work with IEMs. They usually have way too much output impedance. All right, let's see. Thunder Gulch, Thunder Gulch. Hello from the UK. Hello. I've always wanted to visit the UK. Planning on purchasing Sennheiser 660 S2s as my first audiophile type headphone for music initially via Tidal on iPad. Will the FIO K11 do the trick as a starting DAC dongle? 660 S2 can be a little bit tricky with sources. K11, I'm trying to remember. I think balanced wise, it'll probably be okay. It would be okay. I would recommend you go to something that has a little bit more power, maybe not quite as warm sounding, but it should be okay for a starter. But I'm just going off of memory here. I haven't really tested that setup. Let's see. Dragonet Sound. I like it because you're keeping it real. Awesome. Yeah, I mean that's who I am. I'm a straight shooter. I'm very open and honest, and I'm very much a a person who wants to have communication and explain things and hear both sides of it and then make my own decision. And yeah, I'm just a very real person. I'm not trying to be a sales pitch. I'm not trying to sway you and and convince you all to follow me and to be my sheeple. I don't want that. I want you to make your own independent decisions and understand and then share our experiences and learn from each other. Um Lee, I have always felt good. Your honesty in reviews, the same for Mark Ryan and Paul Wasabi. Yeah, Mark was super, and Paul Wasabi with Paul Wasabi. Both are very open and honest. We may not agree on everything. We may have different beliefs about how things should sound, what gear to use, and if certain things make differences, that type of stuff. But over in the long term, you're going to get the personal experience and the honest explanation of that personal experience from Mark and from Paul. And that's what a review should be. It's not a sales pitch. It's not a I'm going to try to grow and have this big huge company and or this big huge community of people that are just paying all my bills and all that kind of stuff. Hey, if it happens, it happens. But honesty is the best policy. And if a reviewer doesn't come across that way, it's your decision on how to approach it. But I wouldn't support somebody who's not being open and honest. All right, let's see here. Thunder Gulch, thank you. I'm newly subscribed as of this week, but thank you. Love the content. I am absolutely at the very beginning of my audiophile journey. Hey, we all have to start somewhere. Truthfully, with the 660 S2, it works with portable, but I would go with something a little bit on the desktop side. Now, you don't need something huge. You don't need something super expensive, but I would go for, if you do listening at a desk or at a table or something more frequently than you do on the go, I would go with a desktop setup, something like an X Duo, XAO2, or if you want to keep it a little bit more on the portable side of things, you could go with something like this, the Muse Hi-Fi M5 Ultra, or you could go with the SMSL DS20, or a Death and Ray clarinet, something small like that has power that can push the 660 S2. And you might get a little bit more experience. But the KA11 wouldn't be a bad starter. Og, I'm just going to call you that. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Thank you for the content. You're very welcome. I'm very glad that all of you have showed up to the live streams and that you watch my videos, and the responses that I get in the comments. I really do appreciate that, and I'm glad that you enjoy the channel content and that you find it helpful and useful. And that's the whole point of my channel. All right, let's see. Tim Brown, like Tim Brown, the Hall of Fame wide receiver. Anyways, I find it interesting that many of the reviewers seem to have amnesia when it comes to saying a feature on a particular model is a plus, while the same feature on another model is a minus. That's very true. Now, I've had some moments of that, and here's my explanation for that. Okay. Now, if it consistently happens, so like if you have a product and it has Bluetooth, we'll use Bluetooth as an example. All right. Because I'm not big on Bluetooth. And so it has Bluetooth in it, and they love it in this DAC amp, right? And they're like, man, this is the best Bluetooth ever. It doesn't drop. It connects all the time, and it sounds fantastic. The next video they make is another DAC amp. It also has Bluetooth. And they say, the Bluetooth's awful. It doesn't connect. It doesn't do this. It doesn't do that. It sounds horrible, but you look at the specs and it has the same, they both do LDAC, they both do, you know, the highest Bluetooth 75 or whatever they're up to now. And they have all of that, and they both are identical, and they're both made by the same company, right? What happened? My my theory on that, and this is just a theory. I haven't done any scientific testing or anything, but I think what that comes down to is the implementation of the device. And there are some things and components in it that cause Bluetooth to act kind of strange. And so, you do have to take that into consideration. But for the most part, with it, your amnesia is correct. You know what I find even more funny is and more disturbing and more frustrating all at the same time are the reviewers who have amnesia, because they'll review a product, let's say on Tuesday, and they'll say this is the best $200 IEM or less. This does this, this, and this. Thursday they release another video. This is the best $200 IEM, and they won't even compare it to the product that they said was the best on Tuesday. It's like they completely forgot that one exists. And I understand some, if if the one is, got 10 BAs and 5 planars and 4 dynamics, and the other one is a single dynamic or whatever, configurations, you can't always compare, right? I get that, Pat. But the point is, if you're going to say one is $200 is the best thing ever, why did you say it about the other one and not talk about it at all? You need to at least explain, on Tuesday or whenever the previous video, and here's the link to it, I said this was the best, and now I'm saying this one. Here's the reason why I said it's better. And let the viewers decide which one they think is best. If you're going to shill it like that and you're going to have amnesia, you're just out to get clicks. Got to be transparent, and you got to give reasonings. All right, ran over. All right, let's see. Tim Brown, I wish. Yeah, I wish too. But anyways, cool. Luli, hi. Let's see. I have a FIO K7 and a Drop 66. Excuse me, 6XX with a 650. I want to upgrade my game. All I have from reviews from different YouTubers, all I get is confusion. All right, so if you want to go up, if you want to stay in Sennheiser world, and you want to go up a little bit more, a couple $100, get a 660 S2. That would be a nice upgrade. It's going to give you a little bit more fullness, a little bit more bass, still have that nice Sennheiser tonality in the mids, a little bit more sparkle and energy, slightly better imaging, details, resolution. If you want to try something completely different, there's all kinds of options. So, you need to kind of, where I would start is understanding what sound signature you want, and then budget. And then do you want to try different technologies, or do you want to stay with dynamics? As far as the K7, I definitely would upgrade that. I would either go K9, depending on how much your budget is, K17, K19 if you want to stay in the FIO world. There's other options as well. You could go just an external deck and external amplifier, mix them together. You could go budget but have good sound. I find that the X-Duo XAO2 sounds very good with Sennheisers and has enough power for the majority of headphones without being the super demanding oddball type stuff. So it kind of depends on what you're looking for, but definitely you have some room to upgrade. And that's I'm not saying that to disparage the 6XX 650. It's a great headphone. And I do enjoy it a lot, but there's a lot of growth that can come from that. All right, let's see. Let's see. Joe Voss, the type of Bluetooth matters very much. Yeah, absolutely. And I've said this, and I'm not much of a Bluetooth person, but I'm not saying don't use Bluetooth. I do use Bluetooth. Okay, I use it on more in portable use, on the go when wires are not feasible. And I do test things that come in, it's not my first choice. And there has been a significant improvement in Bluetooth, and especially sound quality and connectivity and the abilities that it can do. So I'm not going to say that Bluetooth's bad. They definitely have made improvements there. and it does matter. And there is differences. Like if some of the cut corners that some of the companies do, like there was the one that came that had like 5.1, but it didn't have LDAC. It didn't have any of the, aptX HD type stuff. And I was like, why are you going with the higher five, but you don't have all the specialty codecs? What is the purpose? And so there's, yeah, I'm with you on that, Jovas. Thunder. I'm taking notes. I will definitely be desktop listening, so I'll do some extra reading around your suggestions. Thanks again. You're welcome. Yeah, I would definitely, if you're going to do desktop listening, you don't need to go full on. I'm gonna spend $1 bazillion on stuff, but you can definitely upgrade from a dongle in that regard, um, with not spending much more. All right, let's see. Oh God, some say good things for Focal, Meze 109s. Others say otherwise, especially ASR with their measurements. 109 is an interesting headphone. I actually enjoy it. It does have some peakiness to it, especially in the uppers, and it definitely has a leaning to a more fun sound. Focal depends on which ones. Focal Clear is good. I don't hear a whole lot of Focals. Haven't heard one in a long time, so I'm not the like as knowledgeable on that. But Meze's had a couple newer stuff coming out, so it'll be interesting to see about that. So probably be some reviews coming out on newer Meze's that are kind of building around the 109 in different price points. Kamal, hey Dave, I like warm neutral sound signatures with well-textured sub bass and vocals. So that's an IEM around 200. The Moondrop Cadence. That's there's a couple others too, but I would start with the Cadence. Louis, I have a very important question for the following descriptions. What you see is the earphones that match the characteristics the most. I'm ready to write them and it down. Defined bass, not an imaging, masking, ambiguous, booming. Mid-range and treble is romantic. Cohesive, harmonious, as opposed to two or more people talking at the same time. Okay. And behind you, what are the 2 amps on top of the X2O? Okay, so I'm going to answer Fred's question, and then we'll get back to the question from Louis. So this is the Burson Playmate 3, and this is the IFI Valkyrie. Let's see. Louis says thinness of any kind of harshness to be heard like you're talking on an airplane. Emotions that come through unlike something clinical. No sibilance at all, but not dull. And thank you. Okay, so what was the price point on that, Louis? 200. Let's see. Well, the couple things that come to mind. Number one, Tanzu Neza, the Thea Audio Oracle Mark III. If you wanted a little bit cheaper, you could go with the Kiwi Ears Astral. That review will be coming. You have the Zen's T2. I haven't heard the Pro, so I'm not exactly sure how that one compares. Those are the ones that come off the top of my mind. There's a lot of others as well. If you want to go more expensive, like $1,100, you can go with the Westone Mach 60. Okay, let's see. I saw another one after Fred. All right, so Joe Voss. Shilling is very exhausting. It's demoralizing not to trust 90% of people. I only take seriously the ones like Dave, which don't sound like a sales pitch. Yeah, absolutely can be exhausting. It is also very frustrating, I find, as a consumer. And you go research an IEM and all you see positive, and then a lot of them start to sound very, very similar, almost like they're parodying each other. And then a lot of them also just take the marketing material that is sent to reviewers or is posted online, and they just copy and paste it, and they just explain the, here's what the driver is, and it does this, and you get a huge paragraph that's just exactly copied from the manufacturer. And it's like you're sales pitching me. I can go and read that myself. I can go to the manufacturer's website. I can read that link and go, oh, that driver does this, and they explain it this way. What I want is, what does the reviewer think about that? I don't need some explanation in regards to that. Not that I don't want to learn, but I can learn from the manufacturer. And then on top of that, it's just the constant positive, positive, positive. And, it would be also the same. It would get very exhausting if it was negative, negative, negative. And there are some reviewers that are that way. You're just like, dude, do you like anything? Why are you a reviewer if all you're going to do is bash companies, bash people, and bash products? And there's, certain reviewers that just nonstop. It's like they have to be contrarian. And it's just so frustrating and exhausting. And it's just like, this company is a scam. This one's this. This one does this. This is the worst one ever. This one does this. And it's just like, I get it. People have flaws. I get it. There's no perfect company. I'm not perfect. But at the same time, do you constantly just have to go, life is terrible. Oh yeah. Why do you have to be Eeyore? All right, let's see. Pratik and Langi? Pratik. Pratik? Hopefully I said it right. Have you found planar treble to sound like it's mushed together in comparison to multi-BAs, which have dedicated drivers for the treble specifically? Okay, so this is an interesting thing that I see a lot in reviews. And it's really come out over like the last year, especially about planar treble, because planar's drivers are starting to be used in hybrids as like tweeters and things like that. And I think where the issue lies is the implementation of that driver. So I think that planars do a very good job with treble. They have nice extension, and a lot of air and space, and especially in like over-ear headphones. The problem that I think is happening with IEMs is that they're using smaller drivers, and that's kind of confining the size, and it's becoming harder for them to implement. And so these manufacturers are starting to have to kind of research it and try new things. So you're starting to see different types of tubes and filters and things to try to help to be able to expand that and to help that planar. If you look at planars, and especially in the IEM world, and you look at the bigger size planars, they don't have that issue. So it really comes down to, I think, the driver capability, the design of the driver, and the implementation of the driver, and how it's tuned. That's driving that. And BAs, there's also discrepancies in the DAs as well. So you have the Sonian, you also have the Knowles, and then you have some of the other manufacturers that are making some of the BAs. I can't think of all their names, and some of them are better at it than others. And so it's not really the difference between the driver and it's more about how the manufacturer and the maker and the tuner in engineering is going into the implementation of it. I think that's driving that force, because the directivity and the more forthrightness of planars, if not tuned properly, can really come out. But BAs also can have that, you get that metallic type of sheen if you really push it. So I think it's more reliant on the actual implementation and tuning than it is the specific drivers. But they do have different capabilities. Good question. All right, let's see. Yeah, so I'm just going to call you guys. 6mm microplanars. Yeah, the microplanars can be really, really shrilly and extremely hot sounding, especially when using treble. I find that if they double up the planars, that helps because then they're not trying to force it as much. So that's an interesting thought, but I'm not, obviously in the engineering world. Um, let's see, Zoran, greetings from Indonesia. Hello. I feel you. It's sad in the country that shilling is the norm since the economy is kind of bad. Without shills, influences can't get money and all that. I I understand that, and it is sad that um, the they think that in order to get income from YouTube and things like that, that you have to be a shill, but that's not true. Um, if you're honest and if you're truthful and if you are just genuine and you're accurate in your descriptions and you truly care about your community, they're going to support you. Manufacturers are going to support you too. Um, I'm living proof of that. Now, I haven't pushed and asked for support near as much, and you can do that without being a shill. There is ways that you can do that. Because it's not my focus, I haven't asked for it. Now, as I said before, if you have $1 million laying around and you want to support channel, I'm not going to turn it down. All right. But I think that if you are being genuine and honest and you truly care about your community and you communicate with them and they're loyal to you, when they feel the need, when they feel the appreciation, they're going to support you. And it's sad that people have thought that they have to beg for it and they have to really pull it out of people. I don't want to be that way. You can make money without being a shill. All right, let's see. Zoran, there are also people who want confirmation bias, so selectively pick reviewers that follow. Oh, absolutely. That is big time. They go and they just buy everything, and then they come back and they are wanting confirmation bias. They will purchase confirmation bias, and they follow only the people that agree with them, and then they go and roast the people that don't. And I get that quite a bit. Let's see here. I see. So you think full single planar IAMs have better treble than microplanar hybrids? Not necessarily. So as mentioned, I think if you kind microplanars, if you kind of put them together, dual them up, you get a little bit more of a even response, more cohesive. But that's not saying that singles can't do that as well, or that micros can do it. It all kind of depends on the implementation of them and how they're paired up, where the crossover comes in. There's a lot of things that come together. But I do think that the bigger the planar size, especially in IEMs, the better they are. Well, they tend to play vocals and piano in a superior, closer way. Planars do tend to do that. Another thing that I really like with that is Sonians. I find that Sonians, especially in the mids, have a very natural presentation. They have a little bit more body to them, and they play pianos and vocals really well as well. Control. Hey, I hope all is well today. Yes, very good. I have been. Let's see. I've been awake for an hour and a half, and things are going really well so far. I've had a very enjoyable day, and this is a great live stream. Let's see. Can you review my question before you finish? I thought I answered that. Did I miss something, Louis? Let's see. All right, let's see. So, Gis says that that's interesting. Some reviewers think more microplanars in the driver setup exacerbate the hotness. See, I don't totally agree with that. But again, I think it kind of comes down to the tuning choice and also how it's implemented. So I mean, I'm not saying that every single IEM that has dual micros or a single, 12 or 14 millimeter is going to be, because they all can sound different. So, we have to be careful that we don't just say automatically this is superior across the board. Let's not throw everything into the box, and into the same box. We have to have that open mind and understand that each thing is going to sound individually different than something else. And it's also going to interact with your ears differently. Source gear is another big thing. So, all right, let's see. Lily, they have a shallow understanding and passion of the hobby. Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of, especially, so here's what happens often. I have found, and this is not to say, you know, it's completely negative, because I do want to have an open mind and I do want to be accepting of all people, and reviewers and viewers. But here's a problem that has happened, and it's happened in all sorts of fields, especially on the internet. So, or on the internet, in the internet age. And this is the thing: everybody has a podcast, and everybody has a YouTube channel now. Almost it seems like every gamer has a stream of some sort, and things like that. Everybody's doing it, and it's because everybody's doing it, and they want to make a quick buck. And just because you think that you're good at a game, or you can explain this, or you're good at audio and you can explain this, things like that, doesn't mean that you should have a podcast or have a streaming or a YouTube channel. Not everybody's good at it, and sometimes thoughts of here don't come out the way here. And then sometimes you just don't have the personality for it and the abilities. And I'm not trying to be, you know, it's a difficult thing to talk about, but it's so oversaturated, and a lot of these channels don't deserve all the attention that they get. And a lot of it is, you can tell, you listen to them, they just have a shallow understanding. They're inexperienced. They don't have a big field of reference when it comes to gear, and they don't understand how things work. And sometimes if you're thinking about doing a channel, and I'm, for anybody out there that watches this live stream, gets to this point in it, and is listening, if you're thinking about doing a live stream, if you're thinking about doing a podcast, make sure you have experience. Make sure you have a field of reference. Make sure you understand the topic before you jump in, because trying to learn it as you go isn't the way to do it. And trying to just get a quick buck because everybody else is doing it and you think you can do it better, that's not the reason to do it either. Have experience, understand the topic, and be knowledgeable, and make sure you have a personality that works with it. All right. Let's see. Zoran, I follow your method. I look for the most critical or negative reviews of the items I want to purchase to aggravate the common denominators. Absolutely. That's a good process to use. Understand the reviewer, where they're coming from, what terms and definitions they're using, how they review things, what music they use, what gear they use, all that kind of stuff. And then listen to other reviewers, critique everybody the same way in the gear, and make your own opinion. Really, I understood that when you said cohesive harmonics means frequency not driver implement. I totally understand that. Cohesion and all that. I totally understand that. Zoran, sometimes when I see reviews in commerce sites, the 5 stars are the noise, but the population vote 3 to 4 stars usually makes the most realistic sample of votes. Yes, so if you end up with, like, let's use Amazon for example, and you look at something, it has 5,000 reviews, 2,500 of them are 5-star, 2,000 of them are, between 3 and 4 stars. What I tend to do is I really look at what's the difference between the 3 and 4 star, because some people just overvalue the star rating, and you're like, that probably should be more 3 because they're saying it's kind of mediocre-ish. And then other people kind of sometimes undervalue the star system and they'll put it at like 2 or 1 star just for the dumbest of reasons. This came with a broken box, but it still works. Well, okay, why are you giving it 1 star just because of that? Or this didn't arrive when it was supposed to have. You know, they said it was going to arrive on Tuesday and it arrived on Saturday. How dare they? You know, and 1 star, you know, things like that. It's just stupid. So I kind of value that. You look at it as what are the star rankings, because I value things a little bit different than others, and you know, vice versa. So you kind of have to read the review and then look at, are they just kind of being a little too friendly and giving it a little higher star rating, or are they, you know, overselling it type of thing. Um, One of the things in reviews that you see stars being overused too much, in my opinion, head-fi. So almost all reviews on head-fi are 4 stars or above, 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5 star. You rarely ever see lower ones, but yet if you read the review, the person's really critical. And you're like, why are you being so critical, but yet you gave it 4 stars? Give it a 2 star review. Don't be afraid to do it. Lower your star rankings. And just, so many things are just overrated, but with the stars, it's just craziness. All right, that rant's over. All right. Okay, I lost my place. Hold on. All right, here we go. System Boom 69. Greetings from Greece. Greece is a long ways away. Thank you for swinging by. Um, I I've always wanted to visit Greece. That'd be pretty cool. All right, let's see what else. Do you prefer Sigma Delta or R2R? And how do you figure the new topping one bit deck will be different? Okay, so I don't know about the topping one. Haven't heard about that. Do I prefer Sigma or R2R? Personally, I kind of lean more towards Sigma Delta. I don't mind R2R. R2R does some really cool stuff, but to me, R2R is not neutral enough. It's a little too warm. It's more lush, ooey gooey type of sound. Now I know that there's some R2Rs that are more leaning towards the analytical side of things, but to me, R2R, the limited amount of R2Rs that I've heard haven't done enough to really impress me to be a neutral setup on my desk. So that's the reason why I have Sigma Deltas. Um, well, Louis, just review it because I don't want the meaning to escape you. It's most important to me. Just scroll up before you finish the session and see if you see what I mean in a better way. I honestly don't understand. I went through, read them all, and then I explained. I mentioned the Tanzu Neza, the Thea Audio Oracle Mark III, Westone Mach 60, um, the Kiwi Ears Astral. And Louis, I'm really not sure what else I was supposed to explain. Um, Zoran, do you also mind spilling names of the other YouTubers or reviewers whom you know to be honest with their opinions? It'd be nice for shout outs. I've mentioned a few today. Super, Mark Ryan. You know, we don't agree on everything. We have some different opinions, especially when it comes to gear and cables and things like that. But one thing about Mark is he's going to be honest with you. He's going to tell you what he believes, and he's going to be genuine about it. You know, he's not he's a bigger channel than I am, and he's been around for a long time, and he's grown a loyal following. And I think that Mark is very knowledgeable and understands things. He doesn't put preference and bias ahead of things. He's going to be very honest and genuine with his thoughts. And you know, even though he does measurements and stuff, he doesn't depend on the measurements to tell him how things sound. He does use his ears and he listens to music, and I really appreciate that. Same thing with Paul Wasabi. Paul Wasabi and I don't agree on a lot of things, And Paul is, a smaller channel, has been around for a long time, and we don't agree on everything, but I do think that Paul is generally giving you his opinion about a product, and he truly enjoys um, music and things like that. I think Paul does lean a little bit more to the graph telling him how things sound at times than Mark Ryan does. But again, I think Paul ultimately in the end of time is going to use his ears to tell you how things sound. Treble All Extended is another guy that is coming along as a reviewer and really puts forth an effort. Yes, he graphs, and yes, he leans a little bit towards the graphs, telling him how things are going to sound, but also at the same time, he enjoys the music and listens to it, and I think he's genuinely telling you how things are going to sound. And there's a couple of names. Um, Geis, Ferret microplaners, I think were the only used for the past couple of years or so. Like with the existing driver types, I can only imagine the tech will be developed and refined. Yeah, planars in IEMs has come a long ways. For when they first really started to come to prominence, you had the Tri i3, and you had the um, 7 hertz timeless, and the 10 hi-fi P1 Max were kind of the first ones that or P1 plus, and then P1 Max. Those were kind of the first benchmarks when it came to planars. Then you started seeing planars come in being used in hybrid configuration with like the Tri i3 and things like that. And you've slowly seen them getting implemented more and more. The single planar setups have really, really improved. At first they were a little bit mid forward, a little more, kind of aggressive. You think of the Let's Shore S12 type thing, and it's not that it was bad. It was just the presentation was like super intense and very aggressive sounding. And now they're kind of learning how to tame that and mix them together. So the technology is there and it's improving and growing, and planars have made vast improvements. I think EST is going to come that way also. Um, so just like BAs have really improved, especially all BA type setups, you're going to see manufacturers learn how to implement and tune. Zavi, hope you're okay. What a nice speaker you have behind you. What is the name of the brand of them? Did you get them in AliExpress, or are they expensive? How about sound, treble? Okay, so the speakers behind me are the Monoprice MM5R. They are a active speaker, and I think they run somewhere 400, 500 for a pair on monoprice.com. I did a write-up on my website for them. They have EQ. These are one of the speakers I have to use EQ on. They have a bit of a bass, and the treble's a little bit laid back. You have to kind of boost the treble a little bit at times, depending on the source that you're using. They're an interesting one. I just haven't changed out to other speakers because I don't have room for a speaker amp right now on my desk. So they have stuck with me as they're the only active speakers that I have. When it comes to planars, Geesey, yeah, I do agree that they're trying to get that EST extension in the air from planars a little bit. And they're, planars and BAs, you're trying to build that a little bit. I don't know if you'll ever quite get to that extent. Maybe with planars. I don't know if you'll ever with BA, but it'd be interesting. Fred, do you have any concerns for the next generation of music lovers when it comes to IEMs and headphones? Yeah, absolutely, a lot. They don't put they're not putting a real big emphasis on the actual music. If you look at a lot of the modern music, it's very compressed, lackluster, especially when it comes to lyrics, and it's just, to me, modern music really lacks any sort of connection and emotion. It's all about being driven, and just energy, and it's not really about the lyrics, not really about the connection. There's also a concern they just don't know how to listen. They're on the go constantly. It's all about the portability. It's all about the just on to go, on to go, on to go. They're not really sitting and listening and enjoying and critiquing music. Then on top up of that, you have the gear. It's all about the Bluetooth, about the true wireless. It's about the just the immediate. Now there is a side to that you're starting to see some go back to wired, going back to vinyl, going back to analog. And so there's some interest in that, but they're not really going into the audiophile side of it. They're more connecting with this is cool, it's retro, I'm hip because I like the retro stuff. So it's more about the convenience, about the coolness and things like that for them. And they're losing that desire to truly connect with the music and enjoy it. That's a concern. And you're seeing it in reviews too. All right, let's see. So, anyone else here owned the Dunu Talos? I had them. Did not like them, but I'm glad you like them. Let's see. Yes, ESTs are expensive. Sony is expensive as well. Totally get that. Let's see. Praytek, well said about the huge loads of wannabe channels that think it's a highway to make quick buck and disregard the essence. Unfortunately, it's growing, not very much so. Very, very much. If you go in and you just type into YouTube IEM reviews and then filter it by the last week, you'll probably find a channel that you've never heard of before reviewing something. It's craziness. And on top of that, they need high voltage too if you want to bring the best of the ESTs. Yes and no. That they are kind of sensitive to that. I do find some are more sensitive than others. Some of the newer ones aren't quite as sensitive as the older ESTs are, but do agree for the most part on that. Victor, I've been in this audiophile business for a short time. I appreciate the opinions of reviewers like you. Thanks for your advice. You're welcome. I'm glad that you find the channel content helpful and useful. Yeah. Praytek, Head 5, the worst is 3 stars at least. Yeah, you rarely ever see a 2 or 1 star. And probably if you do, more recently, it was probably one that I posted on there. Let's see. Yes, I have a Discord. It's down in the description. Okay, yes. So frequency response and implementation of drivers, there is a difference, however you want to explain it. But there is drivers that are playing at the same time. I consider this layering. I consider this to be depth of field, and it also falls into the imaging. All right. So there is a difference in how some reviewers see this and not. But I truly, especially in IEMs, you can really hear a lot of that, especially in more intimate sound. Now, how depending on your preference as a listener, some people like it to be a little bit closer, a little bit more intimate with good depth and layering. Some like it to be a little bit more open, a little bit more spacious. I'm kind of in between that. I like it to kind of sound natural. So if you listen with your ears to whatever's going on around you, and then and especially if music is playing, like live music, and then you go and you listen to the music being played back, you can kind of compare the two. And if it sounds very similar, it's good. And it's in what you are describing, Louis. I am not trying to be rude. I'm not trying to be annoyed. I'm not annoyed. There's a lot of comments that I'm trying to get through. Okay. I'm sorry if I missed your comment. I appreciate your comments. And again, if I overlook a comment that any of you gave and asked, and I haven't answered it in 20 minutes or whatever, put it in again. I'll gladly get to it. I'm talking a lot here today. And so, my answers are a little bit long-winded, which happens when I'm first waking up in the morning. So I'm a little chatty. So I'm not trying to upset you. I'm not trying to ignore you. I'm not annoyed at you or anything of the sort. So I don't really appreciate the comment that you made. Be patient. I'll get to it. And if I missed it, ask it again. I'm not being arrogant, and I'm not missing your point. I just haven't gotten to it. Okay. It's at 38 minutes from the last hour. I understand. All right. Patience. Come on. All right. So, Luli, how about the vampire from Kotori? You never mentioned it, but you say it's emotional as opposed to mundane. Yes. So it's a very fun sound. I did a review of it. I don't really listen to it a whole lot anymore. But it is an engaging listen. Now, if you're going to just go out and you want some bass and you want some fun sound, but it has good depth and layering in it, it's a good little IEM. I think it comes in at like $90 or something like that. And it's small, very comfortable fit. It's not something that I listen to all the time, but it's a good little IEM that has nice little depth and layering in it and good imaging. It's a little bit on the intimate side. All right, let me see here. Personally concerned about their ears. Studies were done showing youth listen way too loud. I totally agree on that. There is So I did a write up on this. But I even listened loud when I was younger. And a friend of mine said, "Why do you listen so loud? And why do you broadcast things so loud when you're using the soundboard?" And they challenged me to listen lower. So there's a write up on my website. It's called the Listening Challenge. I recommend it. If you listen louder, even if you think I don't listen loud, try it. Go in and lower things just a little bit in incrementations. And as you get lower in your listening, and you truly start to learn how to listen, guess what? You're going to hear more in the music. But getting back to the point that we discussed about concerns about the youngsters, they're not listening to the music. They don't know how to listen to the music, and that's why they listen loud, because they want the energy. They're not trying to be engaged emotionally to the music and enjoying it in that way. Joe Voss, AI music is awful. Yes, a lot of it, very much so. There's no space in quantized recordings. Too perfect sound is not exciting. There has to be imperfections, change, experimentation that turns everything to nothing. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not really impressed very much at all by modern music, or even the visions of things. It just doesn't inspire. It just doesn't sound good. And a lot of the studios very much compressed. They yeah, they're losing the emotional connection to music. If they're listening at 95 to 105 dB, that is extremely too high. It is. I believe the what you should be listening to, if I remember my article, is 65 to 75 dB. So they're listening 20 to 30 dB higher. That's craziness. Especially with all of that bass that is built into a lot of modern music today. Wow. By modern music being compressed, you mean built for short listening spans? Yeah. To find good, passionate music, you have to dig deeper. Absolutely. Compressed in a lot of different ways. There's the way it's mixed and mastered, but also very much short, and yeah. Everybody has today. Unfortunately, the youth have a very small, a very attention spans. Okay, well, I was only going to go an hour today, but I need to get through these comments, so my wife will understand. All right, let's see here. Speaking of ESTs, have you ever heard a set of high-end stacks like the SR9s? I've always been curious how they sound, but never had the chance as I'm not wealthy and don't go to can jams. Yes, I've heard some stacks. In fact, I own the Edifier Stacks S5, which is their Bluetooth headphone, but it doesn't really sound like Bluetooth, and you can use a wired excellent headphone. As far as the SR9s and 007s, things like that, yes, I've heard them. Did a review of the 9s, love them. They're absolutely amazing. They're probably my favorite Stacks open back electrostat. They are phenomenal. Um, let's see. I agree, but a lot of reviewers make the hobby too complex, and some have a snobbish mentality, which makes this hobby a turnoff for some. Thank goodness for Dave. Yeah, there is a lot of snobbiness, a lot of just superiority complexes in the reviewers. Unfortunately, my way's the best way. Nobody's heard my gear type of mentality. I mean, we all have different stuff, right? There's absolutely no reason to be like my stuff's the only stuff that matters, and this is the best thing ever. Very snobbish. And you see it oft times in comments in the way that they respond to the community. Um, it's really really sad. Defined bass, not disjointed, cohesive, not everything talking over each other, vocals first, not dull, even if very safe. So energy and engaging, getting lost in the music. Yes. You don't care for soundstage at all. Well, that's a shame. Intimate thick, don't care for a soundstage unless the recording artist puts it there, same or the like. Yeah, again, sticking with what I have recommended the last two times. Tanzu Nezu, Thea Audio Oracle Mark III, Westone Mach 60, uh, Kiwi Ears Astral. There's others in there, but I would start with those. Fundamentals not extended like a bold font. Yeah, I don't like things being super aggressive and like forthright in its presentation. MK12 was very much that way. Several others. There's a lot of things. All right, so we have made it to the bottom of the list, and I've gone longer than I was supposed to. My wife, I'm gonna have to apologize to her for that. But I appreciate everybody coming by, asking questions, good content, nice and good communications here, nice comments. I greatly appreciate the open mind and the willingness to agree to disagree on things, and just we all just need to just can't we all just get along? It's like we all have a passion, we all have a love for music and a love for the gear and for how it makes it loud and sound, and we just need to just sometimes just take a step back and chill out a little bit and relax and understand that we all do hear differently. We're all different ages. We all have different ear capabilities. We all have different gear. We all have different music preferences. We all have uniqueness to us. Our ears aren't built the same. We don't have all the same experiences. And, you know, oftentimes we forget that there's more than just me listening to the music. There's other people. And let's just enjoy it with each other. Even if you're thousands of miles away, some here in Manila, Greece, Indonesia, a few other places that were mentioned that I've forgotten in the reviews, or in the live stream. We're all across the board, and we can still get along and still enjoy the communication and the talk about it without getting all mad and frustrated and annoyed with each other. So let's just all get along and enjoy it and enjoy the music and and be honest with each other. So, anyways, I do appreciate everybody showing up today. I have to run, but we'll do this again. Live streams pretty much every week. I'll let you know if something changes, and we'll catch you on the next one. And don't forget to enjoy the music, and that honesty is the best policy.